Welcome to Elements of a Story, where we will be discussing the parts that come together to create a short story or a novel. The first element is the narrator. And the narrator is the person or entity that is telling the story. Narrators are often told through first-person point of views or third-person point of views. The first-person point of view is when the narrator is in the actual story and is talking about their experience. And the third-person point of view allows the narrator to move between different characters so that they can see each of those characters' point of views. Usually, a third-person narrator is limited to 3 or 4 characters. However, you'll find in fairy tales and fables that the narrator in third person may be omniscient, meaning that the narrator can jump in the mind of every single character presented to them. There is also a second person point of view, which is told through you. The next element is characters. The characters are the people or entities that populate a story. There are main characters, who are the characters that experience change throughout the story, and there are secondary characters that are used to populate a story. The most important aspect of any story is the character's yearning or desire. What is it that the characters want? What is it that the characters are searching for in the story? What is it that motivates them? For example, in Ralph Ellison's Battle Royal, the Invisible Man is motivated by the idea that he is considered smart by the white people in his community. And he's motivated by the idea of impressing them with his language and his ideas and his words. Of course, when he goes to give his speech, he finds that they're not interested in his ideas, that they're more interested in the abuse that they can bring onto him. Settings are the time and space a story takes place. And oftentimes you'll find that stories can jump between time and space through different literary techniques, such as memories. The fifth element is imagery. Imagery is the author's use of language to invoke the 5 senses in the reader. For example, a writer might use a sense of smell to invoke a particular image. What does Christmas morning smell like? Does it smell like tamales and hot chocolate? Does it smell like cookies baking in the oven? Our memories live in our 5 senses, in the things that we touch and smell and hear and see. You may not remember what you did when you were in junior high school during your Algebra 2 class, but you remember the song that you danced to at your 8th grade prom. That is because our memories live in our senses. The next element is voice. The voice is the tone of the story. Your characters may have a different tone in the story if they're upset, or if they're happy, or if they're hungry, or in love. Another element of voice is the timbre. It allows the reader to tell how old and what particular state of mind a character is in. For example, the timbre of a 10-year-old girl at an amusement park would sound very different than the timbre of a 50-year-old man at a biker rally. The next element is metafiction. And metafiction is a postmodern idea that a story has a certain amount of awareness that it is a story. The example I use here is in Luis Borges' End of the Duel. Borges starts the story off by telling the reader, this story was told to me by somebody else. I think what this allows the reader to do is to sort of alter their willing suspension of disbelief, because the reader knows that they're entering into a story and therefore is able to accept the events that happen in the story. And finally, we have plot. And plot are the series of events that are told in the story. You'll see that in short fiction or short stories that plot isn't as important, because usually short stories revolve around one particular event, versus a longer novel in which several events are linked together. Though plot is an important part of writing stories, it has to always be secondary to the character yearning. The character's desire should be what motivates your story, not the plot. And you'll see oftentimes, especially in movies, that the plot is more important and that the character reacts according to what should happen next in the plot rather than what the character desires. All right, thank you for listening. The elements of a story. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, leave some comments in the YouTube section of comments. Thank you.